Hello, I'm Richard Claywell, and this is another episode of Litigation Speaks. Today is Valentine's Day. So for all you guys, and the gals typically don't forget, but for the guys, be sure and get your spouse, your significant other, or whoever it happens to be, some flowers, a card, maybe a gift of some kind, okay? So today's the day. If you don't do it, you're gonna go home, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. So saying that, you can thank me later for keeping you out of trouble, okay? This is another episode of what we call Cupid Courtroom Chronicles. Today I want to talk to you about hidden assets and pretty much how you can find these things. It's a lot more in depth than what I want to tell you, but to give you some idea of what's going on. So here's the question. Are you tired of hassling with missing or people not reporting assets that they've got in a divorce situation? We trust people that they are going to give us information we need to have. And I'm not an attorney, but what I've learned doing this for 30 plus years, not everybody's really that honest. It's my stuff. I want to keep it. I don't want to give it to my soon-to-be ex-wife. So I'm willing to fudge a little bit, and that's what we're going to talk about is how do we find some of these assets that are out there. One of the things I want to talk about is the bank accounts. When we do this kind of work, it's very, very common that the attorney has already got the bank statements and the copies of checks for us. The first question that I have for them is, do we have the back side of the checks? And the answer is 99.9% of the time, no, we don't. If I don't know who's actually depositing that check, then I don't know where the money's going to. So when you request checks from the bank, request both the front and the back, and that will tell us who actually is making the deposit on there, or whether the check was signed by somebody or endorsed by someone and actually given to somebody else and they deposited. So it gets to be kind of a chasing your tail sort of thing, but if you would give me both the front and the back of the checks. Sometimes these seem like emergency type of funds. We want to find out what the accounts are for, and we can do that through the tracing. But a lot of times they're just lavish accounts that are out there for buying gifts for your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever it happens to be, and it's just a slush fund. Getting the front of the check only does not really tell us that, but getting both the front and the back will help a whole lot. Undervalued assets. Sometimes it's convenient to value those assets myself. Now, myself is a person going through a divorce, not a professional here. So they will value the assets and they will make those values intentionally low. So be sure that you get somebody that's qualified to value those types of assets. It can make a big difference. And depending on the dollar amount, it's probably worthwhile to get a second pair of eyes to take a look at it. And this is not for divorce, but this is what happened. We had a case a number of years ago. It was actually for a gift tax that was made, and this particular individual had, if I remember right, it was 40 something paintings, and the only name I recognized on there was a guy named Picasso. The paintings were valued at $60 million, and an attorney called me about it. This individual had got the value of the paintings, and then once he got the value of the paintings, he went through some imaginations to come up with a total value. So I explained to the attorney how what this other expert had done really wasn't correct. And what I was told was, after the deposition, that talking to the Internal Revenue Service, the case would settle for pennies on the dollar. I never found out what it settled for. So have somebody take a look at these things if they get to be fairly large amounts of money. There may be some cryptocurrency investments. You need to find out what's happening with those. That's going to be some meticulous tracing that you have to do to try to figure out what's going on. It's called a blockchain analysis with what's actually happening with those. You're going to have some hidden income streams. If you have a business, what you're going to see is consulting fees. And what are the consulting fees for? Well, it's because the individual is helping another company. Well, it just so happens it's his company, but the wife doesn't know about it. So if you look at those consultant fees, management fees, see what they are, try to find some contracts for those things, and see if they really are trying to be hidden from the spouse. Offshore holdings. There are a lot of offshore accounts down in the Caribbean area. Those are expensive to set up, but if you've got a lot of money, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. A lot of times people will buy assets overseas, either in the Caribbean or Europe or wherever they want to buy it at. There are some international search engines that you can use to find those assets. You just need to know how to get in there and actually take a look at them. And I mentioned an art collection a while ago. The same thing happens with these vintage cars that are out there. How did they determine what the value was? I.e., did I, as a person going through divorce, come up with a number, or have I had an actual appraiser taking a look at these things? So it's worthwhile to take a look at that. And do we have any loans to family members? I loan X number of dollars to my brother or a cousin, wherever it happens to be, and the dollar amount is substantial. And so because it's my relative, I go to the relative and say, well, look, don't tell anybody about this, but I'm going through divorce and I don't want the money right now. I don't want anybody to know I even got a loan from you. And so just don't tell anybody. So now it's a secret that's out there. So you want to go take a look at the disbursements that were made. More than likely a check was written. So this is why we need the backside of the checks to see what's actually happening to those funds. Cash. It's real easy to hide cash. But it's real easy to find too. What winds up happening is, where do you hide cash? Under the mattress, but after a while that starts to create lumps if you start putting enough cash there. But typically what you're going to find is somebody has opened up a savings or a safety box at the bank. And so now you want to find out, have they been writing any checks as an annual fee to keep that money in the bank? So let's take a look at that. Deferred compensation. Do I have any deferred compensation that's not being reported anywhere? I'm going through a divorce. I go to my boss, and my boss doesn't like my wife anyway, for whatever reason. So now I go to my boss and say, well, look, I'm supposed to get a bonus of whatever, for doing whatever. Would like to defer that and give it to me after the divorce is finalized. And are you willing to go along with that? Well, then the boss says, sure, I'll go along with that. So now you don't get your bonus that you've got. It bypasses the divorce. After the divorce is finalized, then the husband gets that. So you need to take a look for that. You need to look at the history of what the bonuses are for and how much those bonuses are. And are we missing a bonus? And if we're missing a bonus, then the question becomes, why are we missing the bonus? Which means you need to do some research into what's actually going on. There are things called digital assets. This would be things like royalties. Do we have any royalties that are out there? Do I do the type of work that creates royalties? Do I write books? Have I developed some sort of a software program where I get those royalties? Are those royalties being paid to me 100%? Or have I got part of them being diverted to someplace else? So we need to take a look at that and find out what's going on with those assets. Love and numbers are a lot alike. What we're trying to do is figure out what's going on with the estate that we have. it is not surprising that the love that you have is a lot like financials, in that neither one of these are actually very predictive. So you just keep that in mind, that all these, they never last. You know, we're going to die, or the business is going to go out of business. So just keep that in mind. The forensic side of this needs a rigorous research of what the assets are. Are they hidden? How are they hidden? And can they be uncovered? And can they be uncovered? Most of the times it's yes, but it's going to take a little bit of time and effort to get there. Again, I want to remind the guys here, guys, today's Valentine's Day. Get something for your spouse. And if you would, if you like what we're talking about, we've got previous episodes on the podcast. Click the link below, see what we've got going on, see if we can help you with some of your cases that you've got that's out there. Thank you for listening today. We'll see you later. Bye.